Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Guys, you know, if you listen to the show, I have a list of like 10 dream guests, and this next guest is on that list. So finally, she has bestowed the honor upon me and the show to finally come on, and I have been so enraptured by her performance in my favorite show of the year. It had none of the negative feelings of Vanderpump Rules. I truly loved it. You also know her from, of course, Below Deck, Galley Talk, Bravo Chat Room. I think she's on like the cusp of having her own talk show eventually, but we just got to see her on The Traitors, the one, the only, the amazing Kate Chastain. Kate, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about doing this, so I'm so glad we're finally doing it.
I'm shocked to be doing this. Thank you so much. And I was just at this Oscars viewing party last night with some of your castmates, and it was so funny because the DirecTV people were like, "Yeah, we invited Kate. We wanted Kate to come." I was like, "I don't think Kate's even in Los Angeles right now. You're in Florida right now, right?"
Yeah, that was the whole issue. I was excited to go and have the invite, but I was just there for the reunion. I was just there 2 weeks prior, so it was just not good timing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
good time.
It was amazing. And I geeked out over Sandra. I made fun of Pilot Pete to his face. That was fun. But you know, it's one of those things. All these housewives were there, and I was so in love with talking to the people from the Traitors. What do you think about this show has people kind of like gagging right now? Because you were on the first season, you came back a little bit into the second season. Why do you think people love this so much?
You know, The Traitors is a huge show on the BBC in England, and it also in other countries. So when it didn't hit as hard the first season, I think we were all surprised. But I think the cast this second season was so amazing that there was no way it was not going to be incredible. But overall, I think the show The Traitors is good because it's so camp. It's such a departure from real life. And so you get to see people being manipulative, lying, backstabbing, but it's all in the name of fun. Whereas some shows, it's real for them.
Well, I mean, listen, after the reunion, I think it's still real for some people. I was talking to Mercedes last night, and I don't know if she's gotten over still that final couple of moments of the show. So it is interesting of like, you're right, it's complete camp. There were scenes where you had Bergie with his teddy bear in his bed, and I'm laughing hysterically. And the gameplay is so fun, but at the same time, you guys all commit so hard that I thought, like, it's just interesting to see even Mercedes, you could tell it's very real for her still.
I don't even think it's so much about the money for MJ. I mean, of course, you could never be rich enough, and so everybody likes money. But I think she was just really hurt personally because she felt like they could trust her, she could trust them, and they just turned on her. So I understand that.
Yeah, they did, but it was like amazing television. I mean, it really was insane to watch. First off, I loved every scene you had in the turret with Alan Cumming. And I just thought, how amazing is it that you now have acted with Alan Cummings?
When you put it that way, it's very amazing. I mean, you're on my resume for sure.
No, you're in that turret in the final scene. He's like, "Have you made your final choice, Kate?" And you know, like the fact that you're sitting there with this straight face and you're like, I just thought, man, this is like a duo interpretive scene right now that we're seeing.
Both Alan and Phaedra were so theatrical in the turret at all times. And I think what made me popular on reality TV so far is that I'm so authentic. Like, I'm not a good liar. I just am who I am. So when it came to being a turret with both Phaedra and Alan, and they're just like really putting it on, watching back, I'm like, gosh, Kate, you know, ham it up a little bit. Look at them.
Well, I mean, but that's why we love you, is because you say it as it is. You are the voice of the audience. So I thought, how many times did you have to stop yourself from just bursting out laughing? Phaedra's like snarling in certain scenes with you.
Every time Phaedra spoke, I was just, you know, stifling laughter. She's so funny. And I just didn't see it coming. And she kept such a straight face after. She never broke character. But I mean, she was definitely like turning it up a notch.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was, I mean, that's why I think we love her as well. I mean, just to geek out a little bit more about the Traitors, when you go into that final episode, I really thought you got caught by Sandra with what you said very personally against Phaedra, in that that listen, you kind of, it was very betrayed. She did sense that. And I thought there is no way Kate is not getting voted out. Were you shocked, as we all were, that you were able to convince some of these dum-dums that it still wasn't you?
I was certain I was going home. And in fact, I was hoping that I was, because I already knew they had my number. And frankly, the reason I kind of gave myself away at the round table was I just didn't see myself being the last standing trader and being comfortable taking home all the money. I mean, because I came halfway through. So I was a little bit mad at Phaedra, like, oh, now you've put me in a position where I can't win, because I would have shared it with her. I'm open to sharing. But I really didn't want to do the final mission again for $0. And I knew I was not going to win. So I was like, oh, here we go again. I was hoping to get banished. So I was shocked.
Well, I mean, what are the rules going into this thing? Do they give you a packet of material of like, if you're a traitor, these are like great strategic plays? Do they train you on these things?
No, and that's a really great question, because there are a lot of rules for both traitors and faithfuls, and you don't get the traitor rules unless you're a traitor. So I had just gotten the rules, had very minimal time to read them. And also, when I was recruited, I didn't know that there would be no more recruitments. I get in the turret, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is so great. And guess what? Let's bring MJ tomorrow. Like, I just thought that then I was the last recruit. I'm like, oh no. And I didn't know that I would have to do a murder by myself after the last punishment, because last year they didn't have to do that. So
Yeah.
I kind of was like, wow, I might be scot-free, but I had to do a murder. So there are a lot of rules, and I did not learn all of them that well.
Well, I mean, I really did think at that point, I thought, okay, that's what's so great about that season finale, was that I really was all over the map, and I thought Sandra was going to win it. I thought she was going to peg you. And then once she didn't, I said, oh, Kate's taking this all the way. And then I remember that they even had you at the upfronts talking about the Traitors with Alan Cummings like a month or so ago. And not a lot of people know that, but I was like, well, if she's there, maybe that means she won the whole thing. So then in that episode, I was like, oh, Kate's won it. And then later, I thought Mercedes, CT, Trishelle have won it. And then they backstabbed Mercedes. And that's just the joy of this game. When you're out there at this fire of truth and you're throwing your bag in, you immediately hit like stop the game. And I think I've read since then, that was kind of your way of saying, listen, I give up. I still I give up. I don't think I'm going to win this. I like all of these people. Is that correct?
Totally correct. Now, I want to ask your opinion, because I haven't really talked to a lot of people about it that have watched the show. Do you think that, let's say hypothetically, I had been able to lie, scheme, manipulate, and win? Do you think there'd be many people saying like, well, it didn't really count? Like when there's a racehorse that like you find out
yes,
performance enhancing drugs or something and wins the
yes,
it's not really their win. I just felt like if I won, the viewers would be mad. Like, she came halfway through.
Kate, I hate to say it because I'm a huge fan of yours. I would have thought that. I would have been like, they brought her in, because I thought they brought you in to eventually make you a traitor. Like, I thought in the back of their mind, that's what people wanted to see. So I eventually thought we would get you to be a traitor. But that was my thing, was like, if I was one of those castmates, I would be pissed, because you are a legend in terms of these shows. So I would have been like, wait a sec, because you're smart, you know how to talk. Like, all of these things would have really frustrated me halfway through the game. And that's why I think as a viewer, and it didn't really matter, because it really is my favorite show I've watched this year, was that, what are the exact rules? What are the exact rules? I didn't know if there was going to be more killings or more recruitments. And, like, that's the confusion, but it still was just so damn good to watch. But in that moment, you do admit that you realize your game was up. I'm going to vote to end the game, and they're going to get me out.
Yeah, because let's say hypothetically I said, okay, let's keep going and banish someone. And let's say I hypothetically was able to get CT or Trishelle out. Either way, at the end of it, it would come down to me looking at MJ in her eyes and being like, surprise, I'm a traitor and taking all your money, but I'll see you in LA. Let's go for a drink.
Yeah.
I knew, like, no matter what, there was no way, no world where I was going to be okay looking at MJ and saying, surprise, I'm taking all your money.
Well, I mean, but that's the argument too. And I was talking to MJ yesterday, is that like she played it as such a good person. And the obvious thing is, this is the Traitors. You can't trust anybody. So I think anytime, I think this show gets going back up again in May, I heard potentially, is that now at this point, all bets are off. Like, it is now going to be so intense for whoever gets in this show that it's going to be so much worse in terms of paranoia.
Do you know what's so interesting? I think that everybody from their respective shows, Bachelor, Housewives, Gamers, they all kind of brought to the table, literally the banishment table, like their vibe from that show. Like Pilot Pete, he was definitely like doing group dates. And he would definitely have a flirtation ship with Ekin-Su. Like, so he was doing it the Bachelor way. The housewives were doing reads for filth, and social game. And the gamers were just gaming. I mean, Dan, unfortunately, was still playing Big Brother. And I'm from below deck, so I was just there to work.
Yeah, I mean, well, and then you have John. You have like one odd man from Parliament who actually gave reads like a housewife. It just sounded so much more astute when he said everything.
That accent, English accent, will let someone get away with a lot.
Yeah, no, that's why he's a politician. Dan Giesling, you bring up, like, unfortunately, just didn't play this well, and he is still taking hits for it. Phaedra still even at the reunion, which, by the way, as a fan of these shows, like, you watch all of these shows as well. Can you divorce yourself from like actually being in them and the entertainment factor? Because when I'm around these people, I feel like it's like Inception, where you're all of a sudden watching a show that's like virtual reality. For you as a fan of this as well, what's it like sitting at one of these reunions and going like, oh my God?
I think Dan was not prepared and had probably heard what housewives reunions are like. And, we did have a home team advantage, Peacock, Bravo, NBC Family, and Andy as the host. Like, going in, if I were Dan, I would have been nervous too.
It's like, well, see, Bravo is always my home team. That's why I always like, even with Beverly Hills, I get pissed if Mauricio is going to be talking on Netflix more about their marriage than Kyle does on Beverly Hills. But I also was able to kind of put that aside and go, at the end of the day, this still was just an amazing season. And CT and Trishelle, there is something kind of storybook, not I mean, people are saying romantic, but storybook about it in the fact that they grew up on MTV. This for them, and you saw how intensely Trishelle took that CT relationship. But this CT, when you're in a scene with him, he comes off so charming. But in that car ride, you were able to convince him in what seemed like 30 seconds that Sandra was against him all of a sudden. And that was like, did you think you had magical powers at that point?
I was shocked when he asked me if I was a traitor, and he is very smart and very charming. So I am shocked myself watching it back that I pulled it off. Like, I didn't think I was doing well, but apparently I did well enough. And I do love that CT and Trishelle won in a way, because I also grew up watching them on Real World. And honestly, when it came down to picking who to murder, the reason I murdered Sheree, which I still feel so bad about, I really do. It's because, one, I was trying to think, like, maybe if I got rid of a Bravo person, it would take some heat off me. But also, what I thought about was the bug challenge. Trishelle was down there. Trishelle was in the trenches, literally. Like, Trishelle, if I had to pick who really earned the money, I would say it's the person who crawled through sewage of roaches and rats.
I mean, Trishelle makes her notebook sound like it's like the Bible. Like it's like 8,000 pages full of notes and illustrations. Like that's the other thing too, is that like when you all of a sudden become, I'm sorry to ask you such specific questions, but like when you get like a traitor, you get a new set of rules. Are you in there? Cause you're also vacationing. Like you're a new mom. You actually said it's like so nice to actually have a vacation. You're there studying a packet of material. Are you sitting there going like, okay, here's one option. Here's two option. Are you memorizing plays the night before?
Oh, it is. I think this is true for everyone. Once you get back to your room, it is probably like that meme of the guy with the whiteboard with all the
Charlie from It's Always Sunny. Yeah.
Yes. On paper, you were like circling names and putting your numbers. I rank them one, but if I get rid of them, it's just, if I look back at the papers, I'm like, I was out of it. And frankly, you brought up being a new mom. My baby was only 4.5 months old. So my brain was only working at like 40% capacity.
Yeah.
I think right now have made it up to like 65%, but I was just, the fact that I was wearing clothing, making sentences and around adults, I felt like, okay, I am doing my best.
It's got to skew your actual reality so hard to be running in Scott. Like that final challenge, it was also funny to know potentially how miserable you are. And then CT wants to run back to get the code to get another $5,000. And at that point, I told you, I was just like, I give up so easily that I'd be like, we don't need it. Just get to the, and also that timer on that last challenge is insane because also Alan Cummings posted an Instagram video with you guys waiting for weather to clear, like, so you could actually make it to the main boat. But that was the other thing. I was like, CT, that's where he really comes alive in these challenges. But I would be so livid as a player because I'm like, my knees would hurt.
CT, he's been doing the challenge for something like 20 years, right? He is like a dog that's been kept in a cage and trained to fight. Because when we were in the helicopter going to start a mission, his eyes like glaze over and he goes into like fight mode. He's like, I'm here to do my job. And then once the mission's over, he like kind of retreats. Like this is what he's made to do. This is what he's been doing forever. And during the missions, he would get very fired up. He'd be like, girls, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you don't understand. We got to do this. It's game time. Let's go.
Yeah. When he went back by himself, I told MJ, I'm like, I bet you CT right now is yelling at the rocks. Like, rocks, come on. It's a mission.
It was so funny to watch, but I was like, think about like Johnny Bananas and him. They've now like, this is their way of life. Like they are trained, like somebody, they're going to have to study their brains for science one day because there's only like, they're going to be having to do challenges until they're in their 60s and 70s, potentially. It's going to not the Golden Bachelor. It's going to be the Golden Challenger, you know?
I think that would be a short studying their brain. But I would be interested. Actually, it's so funny. So I didn't get to meet Johnny Bananas in the castle because he was first gone. But after the reunion, I'm sure people have heard about this. Pilot Pete's parents had a party. Say that. I had to like really think to help. Pilot Pete's parents had a party for everyone. So the whole cast, and it was so lovely. It was so cute. It was so on brand for Pilot Pete. Like, hey guys, my parents said we could come over. They catered it. It was so nice. A beautiful home. But I wasn't ready to leave right after the reunion. And so I ended up riding alone with Johnny Bananas for like an hour. So I really got to know him.
Okay, so I actually had a question for you. I was like, did Johnny Bananas hit on you at any time during or after the reunion?
I mean, we did hold hands in the car.
Sure.
But that was only because we were pretending to be Thelma and Louise because we felt like we were on a road trip.
That's his move on every girl. Let's pretend to be Thelma and Louise.
Let's pretend.
Johnny Bananas. He loves Thelma and Louise, man.
You say that. You're right. I fell for it.
He was like, let's reenact Steel Magnolias, Kate.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Is it weird now? Like, you know, like, and especially the Bravo audience is so like primed to like hate and tear things apart. You kind of now at this point seem universally beloved. Is that a weird feeling to have right now? Like, I'm not hearing like you read like Trishelle is getting torn apart. Like people are you are universally beloved right now. Like, is that weird for you? Do you love that?
Oh, I'm not going to lie. I can't lie. Of course it feels amazing, but I think a lot of it is because the show I came from Below Deck, it's relatable because I was working, and everybody works pretty much. So I think viewers, as opposed to most Bravo shows where people are just like partying or going to brunch, which I love all of those shows, but Below Deck is very unique in that it's about a job. So I think that just helped my life.
Yeah. I mean, but like you're that one person that kind of seems to evade any really hypercritical things because you're funny, you're charming, you're smart, and you actually like stand for something in these shows, which I think is very different than a lot of the other reality show characters. I mentioned Trishelle getting a lot of heat right now. I will say that is really fascinating to read and like, and sometimes dismaying because if you really want to break it down, CT is that one that made that death blow move at MJ, yet Trishelle is taking all of the heat for it, which I think is interesting because they're co-winners. Like, it's not just Trishelle, and Trishelle did write CT's name down. Now there's this whole conspiracy theory that was part of their plan too. And that was my question too. It's like, do they keep you guys away from each other where like, it seems like that would be not close to impossible, but it seemed to be like a long road to go to like plan it down to that much planning of like, okay, on the first one, I'm going to vote you, CT. The second one, you'll give me the puppy dog eyes. You'll get at MJ. Like, is that really that? And is Trishelle maybe unfairly taking a little bit too much blowback right now?
I certainly do not think that they were self-producing to make great TV. I mean, like, you've got enough going on in your head, and they do keep us separate for like an hour before the final to really like get your head in the game or like think about what you want to do. I think why they were able to do that is not because it was premeditated, but I think all of their years doing the challenge has trained them to recognize moments in a game that are pivotal and to pivot or to react and strategize in their brain quickly, because a lot of the times that's what needs to happen. Whereas MJ was just going in like, okay, I trust them. Like, yeah.
She goes, let's end it. We're all friends. I love you guys.
What was the other question? Oh, Trishelle.
No, Trishelle.
She is such a sweet girl. She really is. And I was telling my sister yesterday, I feel very bad for her because she was just playing the game, right? But I feel like she may have been feeling like the girl at school who wasn't in the cool girl group because all the girls were from Bravo. And we liked her, but she wasn't from Bravo. So automatically that makes her kind of an outsider because she's from MTV. And I just feel bad for her.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just very interesting to read the discourse, and I think that sometimes has taken a little bit of my love away from these shows when you read the intensity of the discourse. When it's like, I did want, like, I'm a Bravo guy, I'm a Bravo dude through and through, but like, I went away like having such a good feeling watching that finale, and then you hop online and you read some of the most horrendous things. You're like, oh, and like, I know Mercedes, I love Mercedes. I think this is such a good showcase for getting her back on TV in some way, which for everybody in that cast is a good showcase. But I do like, it was like, oh man, can't we just have something just be a game and not like, why do we have to tear everything apart?
Yeah, I think Trishelle is getting a lot of heat. I think CT is not getting enough because I think, if anything, I feel like he kind of deserves it more because MJ and CT were much closer in the castle. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, no, and you actually saw the pain in Trishelle's eyes when she had to vote CT, but I would have voted CT too, because once you convince that dude to go against Sandra, which like he should have checked in with his partner Trishelle at that point. If he really trusts, I mean, I can't believe in that last one, he didn't throw her a hint that he was changing the game plan. I wouldn't have trusted him either.
Listen, were they partners really? I think CT is so good at playing these games. He's very smart, which is surprising. I think he's friends with everybody as much, but then he won't be, like, unless it's convenient for him, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so you are a new mom. Your baby is beautiful. You post pictures sometimes. Obviously, is that going amazing? Is it have you learned one thing since this besides like you will never get sleep or think straight again?
Right. So I am shocked by how much work it is. I tell my friends, my sisters, I'm like, I can't believe you did this more than once on purpose when they've got 2 kids. I'm like, I mean, it's going to take me a while to even consider it. But that being said, it's wonderful. I'm so lucky. He's such a little angel, but it is a lot of work.
When you were a kid, did you have any sort of dream in your mind that this would be eventually where you would wind up? Like, I mean, there's just no possible way, right?
I don't know. I mean, did every other kid when they were like in their room cleaning pretend there was a camera outside their window? I did. I was like, what would I be doing if somebody was filming this? And I would like making my bed. So, I mean, I feel like it's a good path for me.
Well, that's it. It is a good path for you. And to that end, um, I mean, obviously, I feel like at this point, are opportunities coming in that you couldn't have expected. I think at this point, Traitors brings you back twice. You're there at the upfronts. I feel like NBC Universal loves you. Bravo loves you. Andy loves you. What other opportunities are coming your way? Is there an end thing in mind of like, this is where I want to be or what I would like to be a part of?
I've got a couple conversations going with a couple different people about figuring out exactly what that is. But I'm excited to dive deep into that. Really, having the baby really, put things on pause and then kind of change the direction. So I'm trying to figure out what is that thing I want and how does that fit into my life as a mom. But I'm excited to see what it turns out to be.
I mean, I think they need to do another iteration of Traitors where you're the host, or I need you to actually produce your own reality show competition show, which I think would all be on the agenda at this point.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, and it's certainly been brought up. And gosh, I would love that job. Think about it. Go to like a gorgeous location, wear fabulous outfits, and be like, "Good morning, losers. One of you is later. So
Yeah.
eat fast, and then go do a mission. I'll be back, and we'll discuss who's going home. Bye." Like,
You talked to Joe Manganiello the other day, the host of Deal or Deal No Island. I was like, I want Kate on Deal or Deal No Island. I'm like, this is my thing. And I feel like this is already in the works, is that you are now in the loop for these jobs. And that would be the most exciting thing because you have built a loyal fan base audience but no, every show you're on, you come, you bring it. So that's like the best thing. And you remain what I still call like a reliable narrator. If you say something, we trust it. And that's why you started to be a really good trader, is because people seem to trust you. And also you still like put out snarky comments, which is what we do.
Can't turn it off, but your lips to God's ears. I'm looking forward to being a host. That's exactly what I would love.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. If not, by the way, I feel like there's probably already some show shot. She's just not telling us, guys. Okay, so moving on to some other Bravo shows, because I know you are a fan of these shows. Are you watching Vanderpump and Beverly Hills right now?
Obsessed. Beverly Hills. I can't wait for the next reunion. And Vanderpump is so good, so good. And I'm really looking forward to the Valley.
Yeah, did you see the trailer today? There's a new trailer today where Jax and Brittany's like the fighting starts happening, and Brittany's like, "We haven't had sex in so long," and like all of this wild stuff is coming out, and I'm like, "This is the insanity." People are like trying to hate the Valley already. I'm like, give it a chance before you hate it immediately.
Yeah, just similar how I said like Below Deck was relatable because we were working. I almost kind of feel like the Valley is going to be really successful because it's people that we have been watching for so long, but also it's going through struggles that everyone goes through. Marriage troubles. Raising children. I mean, we're growing with them.
And also being Jax, like that's a huge issue. Like imagine, like that is something we all go through is being Jax in our lives once in a while. Vanderpump Rules, you say you're loving. And I kind of argue that there's like this 360 viewing of Vanderpump now, where it's not just the show, it's all of the blogs, it's all of their podcasts, it's all of these other things that give this other kind of huge experience to a really sad season in a sense, because you have Tom Sandoval trying desperately for a redemption arc. Where do you stand on Sandoval right now?
I feel like Tom Sandoval is real life Zoolander.
Yeah.
No, truly, truly, like not even exaggeration. Like
Yeah.
it's shocking to me that someone can continually do the absolute wrong thing. Like I think there was a Seinfeld episode where George Costanza is like, you know what? I'm going to try doing the opposite of what I would normally do.
Yeah.
Like I think Tom Sandoval needs to try that approach. Like hey Tom, whatever you feel like you want to do the opposite.
Yeah, like that point of like, just don't trust yourself at this point. Like he seems like he trusts and love himself so much. And I know we're taught to like love ourselves, but maybe go the opposite. Maybe don't like yourself and don't trust yourself and things will turn around.
Yeah, don't pose with the tiger. Don't, all the things he does. It's just one thing after another. And, you know, after last year, I personally feel like I probably would have taken a step back and look within. I think he needs to
Yeah.
look within.
Oh, he only wants to look within if there's cameras there. He's journaling. He's doing cold plunges. He wants it if the cameras are there. And you know how well cameras are around. It's not staged, but there is an element of performative when it comes to Tom Sandoval.
I mean, he wants to look outwards if there's cameras or a mirror. And I just feel like he should go away, volunteer somewhere for a while in another country, find, get down to earth a little bit and just, and I'm really only saying that because for him, I think it would improve the quality of his life.
Well, did you read that New York Times article where he talked about living each experience 3 times, but it was like shooting the reality show, doing the talking head, and then hearing how people receive it. And that's how he lives his life even off camera. And I thought, how scary is that? Like you do need to decompress at a certain point to actually live real life experiences again.
I always say, don't trust anyone who like leads with a victim narrative, like, because they're con artists. Like most of us, like, how are you doing today? Great. Everything's great. But anybody who's like, oh gosh, life is so hard. I got to live it 3 times. Like, I've been on reality TV for a while too, Tom, and it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, and it's in a sort of way, it's a great privilege that comes with a lot of hiccups and bumps. And it's a weird thing to watch when it did blow up to, what it did. Who is your favorite person to watch on Bravo as a fan, not even knowing them as a person? Who do you just really love to watch?
Oh gosh, that's such a good question. I always loved Sonia Morgan because I cannot tell if she's in on the joke or she's not in on the jokes she makes. I cannot tell to this day.
Yeah, it's like performance art almost.
Yeah, I think she is. There are glimmers where I'm like, she knows what she's doing. But then I met her at BravoCon. I was like, maybe this is just her. I don't know. And that's really intriguing to me. I love the New York so much. I think Brynn is a really good housewife. I love Potomac. I love Karen Huger. Love.
Do you even love this season of Potomac?
It's not my top, but
yeah.
But I was really meant like cast members on Bravo that I love, and I love Karen Huger. Yeah.
I mean, Phaedra also killing it on Married to Medicine, and I think they're going to actually keep her there. I mean, she really has had kind of having this insanely good comeback that started with Ultimate Girls Trip, led to Married to Medicine, and now the Traitors. I mean, it really is a joy to this is to me a performance just like Alan Cummings that she's able to bring out, and she's so sweet and nice in person. I just would never want to make Phaedra upset at this point.
She is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Gorgeous. She does it all. She has about 17 million jobs and businesses, lawyer, funeral homeowner. I think
Funeral.
she owns a clothing store. That's why she did her own makeup so well, because she went to mortician school to learn to do the makeup on the bodies. And now she does
I
it
know it's true.
and she's mom too. Like she's unbelievable. I mean, the whole Married to Medicine cast is so great.
I know. I mean, 10 seasons in, they just got picked up for an 11th season, which is insane. And Real Housewives of Miami, did you get into that? Because they had an amazing season. That reunion was insane.
They did. And frankly, I'm a little bit biased because I'm in Fort Lauderdale, which is very close. I'm friends with Marisol. And I just really like how I feel like it's such a vibrant, colorful, fresh housewives show. Like, I feel like they're really being themselves rather than some housewives that are airing now. They've seen housewives before, so it's almost like there's a playbook in their head.
Yep.
Whereas the Miami housewives just feel so fresh and remind me of like the original housewife days.
Yeah, like they don't even know any better but to talk over each other.
Yeah.
Like you watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which I'm a huge fan of, but like it is if you watch that reunion and they had Miami and Beverly Hills back to back, it is like watching two separate vibes completely, where Beverly Hills, they're not talking over each other. The arguments are even very like, patter, period, sentence. But Miami, you could have 10 different audio tracks and get something different every time you watched it.
Listen, if one more cast member of any show brings a book of receipts to a reunion, I mean, they should make that like in a contract. Like, you are not, I mean, we've seen it. We get it. Okay.
You get fined like the NFL. You get a $50,000 fine if you want to bring out a receipt.
Exactly. Perfect.
Is there any other annoying thing in terms of watching these Bravo shows or things that you could do away with? Right now, I feel like we get a little too many flashbacks. It's like way too much. Like I can remember these scenes. I don't need to see them 8 different times in the same episode.
In black and white. I felt like the last Vanderpump episode, I mean, I love it so much, but it was very artistic. It was like,
yes,
it was almost like a short film, a short drama film. It was a lot of production going into that. But you know what? I actually kind of like when the shows and different franchises do it differently depending on the production studio. Like, I think Salt Lake got pretty playful, and I think Potomac's been pretty playful. Beverly Hills is the least playful, but I like it when the editors get a little like, that little graphic.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think they got inspired by the Sandoval episode that like really like, I think they got inspired by that. And now like Vanderpump is like doing a lot of like reverse angles and like they're putting orchestration into it at times. It's wild.
It was like the movie Inception, or was this all a dream? Like, I was like, what is going on?
That's what I said. At some point, we're going to find out the cast of Vanderpump Rules has died, like that show Lost. Mm-hmm. Like they've been dead for the last 3 years and they're just trapped in like West Hollywood. A couple more questions about Bravo before I let you go. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, you were just talking about. I think it was an insanely good season, even with the insanity. Are you disappointed that Monica Garcia is not coming back with the reality Von Tease of it all? Or is that a bridge too far for you?
I can see why it would be difficult for production to make that, work out if none of the cast members want to talk to her, be around her. But also, I just kind of feel like at this stage, we all have social media accounts and all the housewives talk shit about each other. Like, does it really matter that? And I don't think it was just her account. And I get why she did it. I mean, the driving by the house, that was a little crazy. But I mean, I don't think this will be the last time a fan turns housewife, like kind of strategically strategizes her way onto a housewife show, because the shows are so popular and have been on so long now that, I mean, everyone's a fan, so it's inevitable.
It's like Saturday Night Live. At this point, it's an institution, so there's no way you're not going to have been affected or heard of these shows. And that's why it's like these are audition processes like anything else. There's only so many Kathy Hiltons that just don't give a shit.
God, she's amazing. God, I love her.
I mean, she shows up for one like moment in a trailer, already reveals more about Kyle than Kyle did the entire season in terms of like her and Marie's like, I think Kyle's been thinking about this for the last 3 or 4 years. And I was like, boom.
She's a genius. I think her first or second season on Beverly Hills, I tweeted, this is now a Kathy Hilton fan account. And both Paris and Kathy followed me. But I think that's only because they really thought I was a fan account. At first I was like, oh my gosh, I took screenshots. I sent it to my friends. I was like, Paris and Kathy Hilton are following me. And I realized, no, it's just because I said that.
God, they got disappointed real quick, I bet. Real quick.
About her. Just, keep it going. I'm going to go tweet something nice about Kathy. So keep that lie going.
No, I love Kathy dearly, but that's another person that like is so funny how the fandom is of like, how dare Kathy? How dare her be back? We don't need her. I'm like, she's good TV. Are you kidding me? And she doesn't need to be there. And that's the kind of people we want.
I would love to see Kathy Hilton on Traitors.
Could you?
I think she would really do well.
Wait, are you allowed, like, do they do that with the Traitors cast? Like, do you have any friends that would like to be on the show? Like, are you allowed to recommend people to the Traitors? Because Kathy Hilton would be insane.
So good. I think she'd be really good at the gameplay. I think she would hate the missions, which would be hilarious. And she doesn't need the money. So it would just be a really interesting aspect. But I think she'd be really good at the social manipulation game. I mean,
well, you have to imagine she is where she is for a reason. It's like we'll never really see how Kris Jenner actually works, but she's like a dynamo because, there's a face that she presents and then the behind the scenes stuff, which we'll never be really privy to. Kathy Hilton would also just be great because she would think everybody's like, I thought you were Kyle. Like she would think everybody was Kyle. She wouldn't realize she was in Scotland like Sheree didn't. And so many things.
Kathy Hilton is much like how I feel about Sonia, or like she's in on the joke, but they're so good at it.
Yeah, there was I met Kathy for the first time at BravoCon a couple of years ago, and I had there had been interactions online, but I knew, I didn't really think she was aware of anything or just wasn't even aware of jokes that were made. And then I met her in person and I was like, oh, hey, I so bad it's good with, she's like, I know. And looked at me dead in the eyes. And I was like, wait, I couldn't tell if she still didn't know or she knew exactly and was laser focusing of you better watch it, dude.
And that is such a skill. And that's why she'd be great at Traitors. Like when she was at some award show and she's putting on lipstick on camera. She knew what she was doing. She was creating a moment, but she's so good at the oh, I didn't know. Did I do it on purpose? What? She's a genius.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the third episode, it's Kyle's brought out her big sister, almost I think to have everybody stand down when they get to the Morgan Mauricio stuff potentially, which is so awesome. I brought my big sister that people are scared of. And do you I think there's no way in heck we're going to get any information really past a certain point about her personal relationships. And I think she's very protective of her actual family. Do you think we'll get any personal relationship details about her and Morgan or her and Mauricio? And at this point, do you even really care?
I think that we will get that information eventually. I'm not sure it'll happen on the reunion. I don't think that anyone would have any issue. In fact, I think people would be happy for her if it were true that she was with Morgan and happy. She looks happy when they're hanging out.
She looks ecstatic. She's skipping like a schoolgirl, wearing torn jeans. Are you kidding? I want to meet, this is insane.
Living her best life. I think everybody just wants everybody to be happy. So, but I could understand how maybe being married, she's not really comfortable yet exclaiming publicly that I'm dating a woman, but I imagine that will come with time. No,
yeah, as I said, I mean, she has these beautiful daughters. She wants to make sure everybody's cool with whatever she does in her life. But I personally don't care, but I also want it to be true because I want Morgan in every season just because I like doing her I'm Morgan Wade. She stalked me. I love joking about it. So I want her to be in there. But yeah, of course, I think we want her to be happy at the end of the day. I just would love to get a couple of more details because Kyle is a legend 13 seasons in, and she's managed to still keep things sort of arm's length with the audience sometimes.
Beverly Hills is all about beautiful things, beautiful life, beautiful house, beautiful clothes, beautiful image. And so I think for Kyle to really be turns out my beautiful image is changing its look a little bit. It's now ripped jeans and cowboy hats. It probably is a huge adjustment.
Yeah, no, it is. But yeah, I hope she's happy. Finally, with Bravo, Andy Cohen, all of this crap in the news about the lawsuits, blah, 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 blah. Your experience has always been positive. I know, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but you've always spoken very highly about this. Have you kind of, do you have a take on some of these things? I mean, with everybody at once, and it seems like it is coming from who I term Bethany Frankel and the reality reckoning. Do you have an opinion on these things? Because I think we're all for better mental health care and things of that nature. Do you have a take?
Just like on Traitors and Below Deck, I am not a good liar and I'm really honest and I speak my mind. And I certainly wouldn't work at a company where I didn't love it. So I think maybe these people think there's strength in numbers and, they're unemployed. I think they should all become realtors, to be honest, and just let it go. Just because you're not on TV anymore, don't now start, coming after your past employer because you don't want to get a real job.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine you, I don't know when it was, a couple weeks ago, were shocked to like open your phone and say like, you were like, there was a funny video with you and Andy to Brandy. Like that must have been shocking to be like, wait a sec, because it seemed like it was one of those video. Like I mean, Ben and Ron, like I've sent stupid videos to like Ronnie where I'm like talking like complete, like joking back and forth, which is what it seemed like it was. But now it's used in this other way to make it seem like evil and dirty, and all the name, your name got thrown into it all of a sudden.
It was a Thursday. It was 5. I was eating my baby carrot puree and I was wearing sweatpants. A day like every other. And then my phone rings and I did not see this headline coming. My biggest regret, and I told Andy this, was that he forgot to mention that we were on a yacht in the south of France when we took the video. Like I was like, yacht.
Wait, was it that NBC upfront thing overseas when you guys were doing that?
The NBC Lions Film Fest or media.
Yeah.
It was a great time. But I mean, I was like, oh, I don't mind a headline saying, Andy and Kate were on a yacht in the south of France. So when he didn't include that part, I was so annoyed.
I know. But also it's like, I don't want to take anything away from Brandy, but it was one of those things. I'm like, I've sent so many stupid texts and videos where I'm just like, those are like the fun ones to get to, where you're like, oh, my friend sent me a funny video wishing I was here. Like that just sometimes happens. I don't, anyways. And then finally back to Traitors. Why did you call Phaedra out at that last one? And why wasn't she angry with you the way she was angry at Dan?
I think Phaedra secretly kind of is angry at me, and I kind of took her side not filming because I didn't want her to think I was just like kissing her ass so that she'd be nice to me at the reunion or anything. I wanted her to know, like, I genuinely like her. And she said, oh, I'm not mad at you because you stuck up for me so much. And that's true. I did. The reason I turned so quickly was because I was genuinely pissed off that she's now put me in a position to either win alone. It was kind of like, Mommy, don't leave me. And she had been selfish because the reason she got caught was she moved the thing to Trishelle, and that was the big thing that made turn on her.
Yeah.
And I was like, why did you do that? But in the traitor rules, you can't like really reveal another traitor. So I was like, I'm not allowed to say why I'm mad. But also at that point, I was like, I don't even want to win this anymore because you're leaving me.
Do they keep you in like solitary confinement before they ship you right back to the States? Like, how long did you have to stay there before you left?
Oh no! Once they leave the game, you are on the first flight out.
Oh really? They don't like keep you all there just to make sure you don't like give spoilers to people?
I don't really know because every time I play, I just make it to the final mission. I don't really know I don't know how it works for people who don't make it the whole way. But I hear that they're on the first flight out because I wanted to do a road trip around the north of Scotland. There's like a famous road trip road. And they're like, nope, you're going home.
And also Mercedes kept it, like I hung out with Mercedes a couple times, never gave it away. So much so that I thought she was on like every episode. I was like, oh, Mercedes is gone this episode. Never in a million years would have thought she had made it to the end. She never revealed anything. She never even she would talk about the show or like, why is it so funny that I'm walking in with the jeans? Why is everybody making a meme of that? Like even having to explain that that's iconic in a way was really funny because she gave away nothing. Kate Chastain, I could talk to you for hours. Thank you. I know you are very in demand right now from the audience and your son. So thank you for finally being here. I hope this was somewhat enjoyable for you, but you were just the damn best. I can't wait till you're on our screens again. Is there anything we can do in the meantime to support you, like a GoFundMe or something?
Oh no, I'm doing okay. But follow me on Instagram at Kate_Chastain. Just like the post of my baby that I post because that's all you're going to see in the upcoming future. But Ryan, you are so talented. You're so good. I listen to you all the time. Your Instagram is hilarious. So thank you for having me.
I will I tell this story and like you one time called me funny on Instagram before I knew you a little bit. And you made my month. I remember telling my mom, I was like, oh, Mom, you don't understand. This Kate Chastain, she's like the funniest person on Bravo. And she just said that I was like, they made her laugh or I was funny. And those little things, you got to understand, Kate, like those, those give me such, just strength. So thank you for always, as I get tongue tied, thank you for everything. When's the last time you talked to Captain Lee? Sorry, I just remembered.
Yeah, no, it's been a while.
Okay. Yeah. Last time I talked to him, he sings your praises all the time. So anyways, Kate Chastain, I hope you'll come back again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.